Hello and welcome to the Futro Hidden Movie Gems podcast. I'm your host, Ty Christensen. And we're joined by Jordan Christensen.
Nacho!
Who? And we've got Karen Mickle.
Get that corn out of my face! You gotta say it with more aggression. Get that corn out of my face!
And we have Drew Lindsay.
Those eggs were a lie, Steven. A lie!
They didn't give me no eagle powers.
They give me no nutrients. I'm tired of getting paid to lose. I wanna win!
Today we are discussing Nacho Libre. This movie came out in 2006. It was directed by Jared Hess, written by Jared Hess and Jerusha Hess.
That's his wife.
If that's his. Is that his wife?
My wife?
My wife, and
My
Mike
wife.
White, and it stars Jack Black, Ana de la Reguera,
Sure.
Reguera. I'm saying it wrong.
You're butchering this.
Hector Jimenez, Darius Rose, Moises Arias, Diego Eduardo Gomez, Carlos Maicote,
Secret tunnels.
Richard Montoya, Cesar Gonzalez. Yeah, this movie. This movie is a really special one. I love this movie. We're going to get into it. What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the podcast? Let's start with Cameron, the youngin'.
I'm trying to remember the first time I ever watched it. It was probably 15 plus years ago. It was a classic growing up in our family. Always thought it was super funny. We always quoted it all the time. And then rewatching for the pod, I forgot how many like really quotable lines there are in there, and there's a lot of things that I do say and that we say as a family that I forgot that we got from Nacho. And yeah, just really funny. I caught myself kind of laughing at some of like the childish gags that I feel like I would definitely laughed at as a kid that I thought I wouldn't laugh at now, but I still laughed at. But yeah, rewatching for the pod was just as fun.
For sure. How about you, Jordan? What was it like watching it the first time and rewatching it for the podcast?
Yeah, I like Cameron. I've forgotten how many lines that like just we had quoted all the time growing up. Like how many times I gave you a titty twister, Ty, and I would say a nipple twist, and I would squeeze it really hard.
Gonna squeeze.
Like, yeah, that's right. Like a squeeze. And I don't know, just how much Jack Black reminds me of you, Ty, and Drew. That's just why I'm so glad we have Drew on the podcast right now. And
You're two fat friends. Thank you.
no,
Jordan.
that is not why.
Yes! Ho, ho, ho!
Yeah.
No, you guys just have very similar, like, just very fun, lively humor that I absolutely love and adore by Jack Black. So rewatching it was amazing. I can't honestly remember the first time ever watching it. I don't know if I saw it in the theater. I don't feel like I did, but I honestly can't remember. But
Oh, great. Drew, how about you? What was it like watching this movie for the first time and rewatching it for the pod?
I just remember, so I was 16 when it came out, and I was working, my dad owned a movie rental store. It was called Blue Moose Movies and Games, and I worked there, so I know like all the movies that came out in like 2006, 2007, because I would stock them and everything. But I can't remember if I watched it in the theater for the first time, which I probably did because I love going to the theaters. I still do, but they need to open. But then I definitely watched it all the time at my parents' house when I was living there, like all the time. Definitely quotable. I remember I told my uncle to watch it, and he watched it, and we would quote it all the time. He was, always hanging out. So I tried really hard to rewatch it for the podcast, but I was actually driving in a massive moving truck across the country, and I thought I knew where my DVDs were, but I never found them before I got on the truck. So, but I've seen it so many times, but I'm sure I watched it, I think, last summer. So it's in there.
I know, dude. Some things you just never forget. So I know for a fact, so I love Jared Hess's work. This guy kind of, on an emotional level, I remember watching Napoleon Dynamite distinctly in the theater twice. I remember watching it being like, this is a phenomenon. the way they're speaking to each other was way too akin to the way I treated my brother. The relationship between Kip and Napoleon Dynamite, fighting all the time. I was like, it just hit home for me. And I remember bursting out laughing just looking at John Heater's stupid face when he was waiting at the bus stop. I was like, this guy is so prolific. When Nacho Libre came around, I am certain I saw it in the theater. And I remember thinking there was more things to latch onto. In fact, Jordan, I'm pretty sure we saw it in the theater, if my memory serves. And
I have two fun facts for you.
Oh, let's hear it.
John Heater has a twin brother.
Really?
I don't know if you knew that. He has a twin brother.
Did.
He used to work with my uncle, so my uncle's friend, brought his brother in one day because he does animation. He's a professor at BYU. He teaches animation now, but he was working for Avalanche Studios in Salt Lake for a while, and he would work on all the Disney video games. And so one day his coworker brought John Heater in. It's his twin brother, so he got to meet him. But that's unrelated. Second point, my wife actually knows Jared Hess.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What? Oh my gosh. You'll have to introduce me.
As long as I get an introduction as well.
So you're still waiting for the
Oh, yeah.
You're like,
And
wife,
have
cash
you
in this benefit.
Have you seen Gentlemen Broncos?
No, that's one movie I have not seen. See, I've
Also,
seen
very weird, but very
Really?
worth watching. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah,
It has Jermaine Clement.
I
from
definitely
want to
see his work because I love Masterminds that came out in 2016.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie, and he's done some of the episodes on Last Man on Earth, which makes me want to watch that show. But I even liked. I know that he directed one of the Son of Zorn, which is why I wanted to originally watch
really?
that show because I thought it was really clever, like a He-Man cartoon living in the real world. I love that. But I loved Don Verdine. I loved Masterminds, Nacho Libre, Napoleon Dynamite. But I haven't seen. I'll have to see.
You need to watch Gentlemen Broncos. It's
Gentlemen Broncos.
very weird, but pretty
Right up
fun.
my alley, dude.
Yeah.
So, like I said, watching it at the theater the first time, I was like, there was so much to latch onto. Like, Jack Black is such a funny and charismatic actor. He's so
one of
silly.
my favorites.
So easily quotable. Yeah, and his level of energy. Like, I'm a huge Tenacious D fan, and I
Do you
love
watch
seeing
his
Jack Black.
Instagram page? It's so funny.
I don't go on social media anymore, but I totally should. I'm sure he would be the guy I would go to like escape because he's so funny. He's like the guy I wish I could meet. Really, like if there was ever a Hollywood actor that I'd want to meet, I'm sorry, Jared Leto and Nick Cage. They're somewhere in there because I just want to really meet Jared Leto because I really think he might not be a real person. I think I'm being pranked.
I've seen him in real life.
Guys,
He's
I just
real.
watched Justice League and I have so many thoughts. Like Jared Leto is on my brain right now.
I'm watching that Saturday, so
Prepare yourself. Yeah, I won't spoil it. Don't worry. And Nick Cage, I would love to meet him. He's a national treasure. He is this nation's treasure.
Nick Cage.
I would love to meet Jack Black. I think it'd be so cool. So I love this movie. And rewatching it for the podcast, guys, holy cow, this movie, is it one of the top 10 quotable movies of all time?
Yeah, I was wondering that. I was trying to think like what might be more
crazy because I do know that
Anchorman.
Napoleon Dynamite might be also in that list. How crazy is that a director can get 2 hits like this? And to be fair, I actually, now that I say that, I wonder if the other guys and Step Brothers, he might win. What's his name? Todd Phillips? He might win too because he did Anchorman as well,
yeah.
right? I know that movie itself is, for me, the most quotable movie of all time. But again, top 10, Nacho Libre's in there, Napoleon Dynamite's there, Anchorman.
Is Hot Rod on that list?
Hot Rod would definitely, for me, it's on that list. But see, what's funny, actually, now that you mentioned that, when I watched it the first time in the theater, I couldn't remember a single quote except all the ridiculous stunts. I remember the physical humor. But see, with Nacho Libre, it was so easy. Not only the physical stunts were so funny, but I remembered the quotes. Jack Black is so, dare I say, eccentric. he's so crazy and wacky and zany that the things he would say, you would not forget them. Like the ridiculous outfit, the ridiculous
Well, it's
hijinks
his presentation of it too. It's how he says it.
Yes, his cadence.
facial
Yes, he's
features
so
are all
memorable.
love it.
Love it. So this was a trip down memory lane. Me and my family, we love this movie. This is going to be a staple in our family for years to come. So definitely recommend it. A second watch, it was even better. Keep watching it, guys. If you think it was dumb the first
even
time,
better.
watch it again. Seriously, the movie gets better. It's definitely a group movie.
I love
Don't
when he
try to watch it
grabs the
alone. Watch it with
churro out of
friends.
that woman's face and starts slapping. She's just like, you stole my churro.
There's so much to appreciate from this film. So let's get right into it. A quick plot synopsis. Berated all his life by those around him, a monk follows his dream and dons a mask to moonlight as a luchador. Mexican wrestler, it says in parentheses, if you didn't know what a luchador was. Oh my gosh. So let's get into it. Two of our favorite things from this movie. Let's start with you, Jordan.
I mean, I have to obviously say Jack Black. I think he is, like Drew was saying, a master at delivery. And I was just thinking about even his actions, like when he says, and they died, and then he grabs the photo and just like how he pulls it out of her hand, just two fingers and, and pulls it away from her. Just how he executes every delivery of everything he says. Because I was just thinking about that. I'm like the reason everything is so quotable is just how he delivers every single line, and then his reaction and cadence and just his presence in the film. He just completely stills the scene. So obviously he's my favorite part of this. And then I think this, like Ty said, the director is really good at coming up with the best one-liners of all time. I think
absolutely.
Just like one after another. I was just thinking about that as I was listening to it, rewatching it this time. I could not believe how, like, I wanted to write down the entire movie because I was like, that's a good quote. Oh, wait a minute, that's a good one too. I'm like, oh my gosh, every single one is such an excellent quote. So those are my two.
Love it. How about you, Drew? What are your two favorite things from this movie?
When the fantasy has ended and all the children are gone, something good inside me helps me to carry on. I ate some bugs, I ate some grass, I used my hand to wipe my tears, to kiss your mouth, I break my vow. No, unless you want to. Then we break our vows together. Encarnación, Encarnación, Encarnación.
They're ready to see you now. That is so great. Is that
and I'm pretty
the greatest
sure,
song?
Oh yeah.
The greatest love ballad of all time.
The greatest song in the world is actually just a tribute.
That's right. Couldn't record it, dude. Oh my gosh.
No, that's probably my favorite part of the movie. And then obviously the part where he baptizes Stephen.
Yes.
Lord. Dad. I cannot imagine any other actor playing that as beautifully as Jack Black did. Like, I can't. Like, he is Nacho. And I don't know. I love his humor. I like School of Rock is one of my favorite movies, and so anything with Jack Black is just gold to me.
Also, great rock
holiday.
ballads that are delivered with the except that's one my wife likes. But yeah,
well,
she's like, "You remind me so much of Jack Black." I'm like, "Thank you."
What, I'm fat?
Yeah. Yeah, I have more in common with Jack Black than Jude Law. Unfortunately, that's the curse that I've been gifted in this life.
Well, yeah, I just think, like Jordan said, it's very quotable, and I fell in love with that movie. First time I saw it, I was like, I gotta watch this again, and I just over and over I watched that so many times as a teenager. But I actually used to have a Nacho Libre mask several years ago.
Yes.
I don't know what happened to it, but I did some things.
Oh my gosh. Well, I appreciate you sharing. Any other favorite things you wanted to add real quick? You got your two in?
Yeah, we'll say that. I don't know. Just there's so many quotable lines in that movie, so it's the singing, the delivery, all of it. It's just
Which we have a section for quotes, so we'll just be hitting those off in a minute.
Right.
I think the first thing that I really love about this is just the chemistry between Nacho and Encarnacion. Like, their relationship is like the most, I don't know, unique. I love like their like banter. like the scene where he's like giving her salad and he like crushes the chips and blows them like on her salad.
She's like,
Yeah, like I love that she just like eats up everything that he does, like in the flirting game. So I really love their like romance in it. It's really funny. And then I think another thing that I mean, obviously the quotes are amazing, but I just love his friend Esqueleto or whatever.
Esqueleto.
Esqueleto, yeah, dude, he is so funny. He like, I never know what's gonna happen when he's on the scene. Like the things that he says, how creepy he is, just like everything. He
Where
just
did
makes me
they
laugh.
find that guy?
Seriously.
Yeah, he showed up in a few other movies afterwards.
My
But
my
yeah,
poor man, he could not get a break with his hair, dude. Everyone was trying to rip out his hair.
Ty, did that remind you of the Three Stooges? He totally reminds me of Harry or Curly. But they're always like,
Curly.
they must be
Yeah.
fans of Three Stooges because he was constantly getting his hair torn out.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to find out that he's
That is
big
a
fan.
scream that I don't know that I could replicate. It's so high pitched.
Even when he's being kidnapped in that hole in the wall by that lady, that scene where he's just screaming nonstop while
tunnels.
she's trying to pull him back into the secret
So
tunnel.
wrong.
That scene is so funny. I love it. So my favorite is, I think this plot actually really works, which is really funny. I'm surprised that it doesn't have as good of a rating. I just think it's misunderstood because, to be honest, I love the idea of like this guy that's like tormented because he wants to serve God and
Yeah.
live a life of a monk in a monastery, but
For
he
the
like
niños.
needs to fight. Yeah, I think that's so clever and so funny. So he's like got this double life where fighting is forbidden, but he's like, I love when he talks to Encarnacion in that conversation where he's like, but is it always wrong to fight? And she's like, no, but if you I can't remember what she tells him, basically, like if you fight for something that's good. And he's like, oh, so he feels justified in what he does. And I think it's so funny that this whole, and again, it's like a character study movie, but it still has a really good story. I think this is one of the best movies. And I love Don Verdine as well, and I love Napoleon Dynamite because each one of them has such an eccentric character. I can understand their motivations all throughout, and I'm with them from beginning to end. So I think that the whole structure of the story is so delightful. And yes, you mentioned quotes. This movie is so obscenely funny. I love one of my favorite. It's not even a funny line, I don't think, but Hector Jimenez Esqueleto, he's just like, and I saw him almost knock you unconscious, all right? Like, it makes me laugh every time. The way he delivered it, it makes me laugh so hard. Like for some reason, he's like one guy that's like we're like I could get killed doing this. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, we're all fighting, but we don't know what we're doing. And that's the other thing I love. The fights in this still hold weight, even though what really upsets me is like they never seem to learn to fight or try to even fight, even when they have the upper hand. Everyone they fight against fights dirty. Like, this movie is great.
Satan's minions are my favorite.
Yes, those two little goat fawns or whatever, so good. They're just like
so
scratching on
Big
it.
pig squealing sounds.
Oh my
So
gosh.
good. So yeah, this is one of those just delightful movies, and every character is a character. I mean,
Let's not
and everyone
forget about
shines. There's no one. Yeah, there's really no scene that I'm like, this doesn't have a laugh in it, or this is the lull. I'm not kidding. I think from start to finish, there is laughs every. This is probably one of the quickest rapid fire comedies that has been out in a long time.
Let's not forget
Like
about our
Anchorman.
chubby little friend Chancho.
Chancho.
Yes.
Literally means pig in Spanish. Chancho, let me borrow some suedes. You're leaving
Chancho,
us? The
I would
kid
never
can't even
leave you.
like breathe. The poor kid can't even breathe. Dude. Bless his heart.
Whoa, Chancho! Look at this.
Oh my gosh.
Let go of my blouse.
The Goma guys, holy cow. So, do you guys have any nitpicks? I mean, aside from some of the laws of physics, by the end of this movie, he summons the eagle powers. He literally flies. Like, there's one shot where it actually looks fine in slow-mo, and then at the very last shot where they do a wide
He,
shot,
like, flies
you see Jack
a little
Black
bit
literally
farther.
slides, just collides much further than
That
any-
totally
any
reminds me of
physics.
Beverly Hills Ninja and the Peanut Butter Falcon.
Yes, Speed Red Falcon, the throw, Beverly Hills Ninja when he pops out of the palm tree.
Yeah, and he
trying
like
to get
flies
onto the
down,
roof
and if
of
you look closely, he goes up a little bit.
he goes up, he goes up, down. You know, believe it or not, in my physics class, we had to do a project where we would take a clip from a movie and point out where the physics was wrong. I actually used Beverly Hills Ninja, the scene where he uses the palm tree to projectile himself. And I basically
You could have
explained how
used
it's
Nacho as
impossible.
well.
I could have used Nacho as well. The scene where he just continues to glide. It's so great.
He was one
But
with
other
the
than that,
eagle.
a lot of the movie technically is grounded in reality. Dare I say? Like there's weird eccentric characters. Like, do I believe that this lady uses secret tunnels to travel in her house? Probably not. But I mean,
Or that the guy just waits around the streets for chips. Like, is he a pigeon? Like, what the?
steals chips from the Lord.
Well, it's how Nacho throws the chips too.
Yeah. He smells them or something. He leaves them in the street,
sounds
and the guy
he makes when he jumps, he's like,
yeah, he's like a night creeper or something from a horror movie. That's so funny.
After he eats the eagle egg.
Yeah, let's be real here. The fart humor is still funny. I don't care who you are. I know it's childish and dumb. It makes me laugh.
the
every
dive,
time.
though, when he eats the egg is the best one. It just has this nasty yolk.
Just when he's like drinking it, he's like, and it just, you could tell it's so disgusting.
I gotta
It's
say,
so
you know what movie this
chunky.
reminded me of? Yeah, chunky. It reminded me a lot of Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, like where you had an actor, Jim Carrey, just letting loose, like off the handle. That's kind of what this makes me think of. Is like just let Jack Black loose, let him say whatever he wants to say, do whatever he wants to do, and it works.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
The party scene when he's singing, it's actually all improvised by Jack Black.
Is that right? Yeah. Oh my gosh.
He's so good at making music. Like, I know it's like he's like making it quote unquote bad, but I still love it so fetching much.
Oh, but it's still
clever.
so
Yes.
catchy. How is that? Yeah, so clever. It's my turn to sing at the party. And he's like, Ramses is number one. He's the best. The whole Jack Black flair that he has to it. And then he starts dissing Ramses. I love that, like it's so funny. He just throws his drink in his face.
And then Escalito starts screaming again. Because the fat chick's trying to eat him or something. Who knows?
Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah, so really, I honestly don't have like nitpicks per se. Like, I guess just no, honestly.
The
I don't
one
really
thing
have
is, I would
nitpicks.
just want to show maybe a little bit more of Ramses, and like so I understand a little bit more about him. That he's just like the most I don't know.
Cameron, Ramses is
He's number one.
His eyes are number one.
His thighs.
His muscles are
thighs,
number
his
one.
muscles. That's all you need to know about him, Cameron. He's by far. Yeah, you never see his face.
Oh, I forgot my
Got golden
guy.
tights.
Wait, well, did you know that Ramses is actually a luchador in real life?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
that's
so
awesome.
is his dad and his brother, and he actually died in a luchador like wrestling match in 2019.
No way.
Yeah.
His dad did?
No,
Or his brother
he did. Ramses.
Ramses is
Yeah,
dead?
the actor for Ramses died.
No.
in a wrestling match
that's
in
so
2019.
Sad. That's so sad. 2019.
Looks like
We
he's
lost a
not
great
number
fighter.
one, is he?
Yeah.
Jeez.
Oh my god. Too soon.
gosh.
Too soon.
I have a
Oh my gosh. Hey, I heard the joke from my brother-in-law. He says dark humor is a lot like food. Not everybody gets it.
Oh my
All right,
gosh.
so we're getting into
That's
Cameron.
so messed up.
Hey, let's get into yeah, that was a dark joke. Let's get into our quotes from this movie.
Oh, where do we start?
I know, right? Just scream out as you think of them.
Oh,
I hate orphans. Coming in? I hate all the orphans in the whole world.
They have a battle off.
Yeah. Squeeze each
I
other's
love when he's like,
shoulders.
I'm not listening to you. You probably believe in science. I was like, you only believe in science. That's probably why we never win. He's like, we never win because you're fat.
You're fat. I can't lift you up. You're too fat. Good luck.
I love when he like tag teams him in, and then just as he's about to get in, he's like too afraid to get in. He like backs out.
Yeah, backs out. No.
I like when Esqueleto has the sleeping mask on, and he like Nacho busts in the room, and he sits up with this mask on. He's like, "Have you ever had feelings for a nun?" No way. And in that scene, you can actually see in the background. You remember when they're going through the song and someone's doing that portrait of Esqueleto when he like puts his hair up and someone's drawing him.
That's
the picture
right.
that they were drawing is in the background, hanging on the wall in Nacho's little monastery room.
I love, and I forgot to say this at the beginning. I was trying to remember my favorite quote, but definitely is like, do you not know I have had diarrhea since Easter's?
Well, the funnier part to that scene is the fact that he slops it down and they start arguing, and then you think that the padre or whatever, the father, is going to like say something profound. He's like, "Silence, brother. This is the worst lush."
Yeah, see, that's the thing. It's almost like where Jack Black does excel because he's so funny and magnanimous, but like all the other characters have so great.
Yes, my favorite.
This whole movie is based on like insults.
My favorite thing to do. My favorite thing to do, Ty, when my hair gets longer, is slick it like creepily to the side, like that one guy's like the sister and I will talk of holy things.
Speak of holy things.
The guy with the reverse Hitler mustache, the shave down the middle, but to get the edges. It's so creepy.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I think so. And this movie has tons of physical humor. We've quoted a lot of lines, but one of my favorite. You mentioned "get the corn out of my face." The cream corn that they have, or like the corn stalk. The scene where they're accosted by two real life thugs that break his bike. He has the cream corn and his Skeletor throws it and it lands in the guy's eye. It's
deep.
like protruding in his eye socket. It's like,
I'm calling BS on that one.
what a perfect throw.
When he's like, I love it when he's like, "Precious father, why have you given me this desire to wrestle? And then maybe such a stinky warrior."
Stinky warrior.
Such a stinky warrior. Okay, if I win the battle jam tonight, I know that you will bless this mission. And then he catches on fire, totally loses, gets kicked out, but then totally redeems himself.
Well, Jack Black's sounds. Oh, he makes the best sound effects ever. Like when he jumps up and does the basketball.
Facial.
Yes, and when he does the basketball slam dunk, he's like,
"Okay, Orphans, new game. Go get it." Kicks the ball. His sandal flies off.
and he keeps walking around with no
He
shoe.
runs out. He runs back to Encarnacion with no shoe on. So funny. My favorite face though that he does at the very end when they climb the pyramid, and he looks over. He's like,
And he does that smile.
No,
it's like
and,
this
and
little
what's
triangle
so great,
smile.
before he does the triangle smile though, the creepy little small smile, he like looks over at her and she gives him a thumbs up, and it's probably the funniest, greatest thumbs up or affirmation that a hero has ever gotten in any movie. Because again, she's a monk, or he's a monk. She's a nun. And she just gives him
Can you
this
not see this
thumbs
woman
up,
as
and
a
it's like,
nun?
I guess. Can't you see this woman as a nun?
"You have a problem with that."
They think I do not know what.
Where are your robes? They look expensive. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
you.
Thank you.
And it slips
They're
up
my
in his
recreational
butt.
clothes. They think I do not know the buttload of crap about the gospel, but I do.
Let's talk about his horrible Mexican accent the whole
Oh,
time.
it's so funny.
But to tell you the truth,
Oh my gosh.
the brothers think I don't know a buttload of crap about the gospel. I
Dude.
And then when she touches his leg, it's like, oh! You hear wolves in the background. Do you remember that
It's
part?
like, I was wondering if you'd like to join me in my quarters tonight.
for some toast. And
Talk
it's
about the
so
crunchiest
dry and
toast
crunchy.
ever. It's like croutons.
Watching him eat it, just it's really good toast. It's really good toast.
He just shoves it under the door. And he's like, Nacho, Ignacio, it's late. Uh-huh.
And then she says, I can't remember if she asked to go hang out with him or something. He was like, I wouldn't want people to get the wrong idea about you, thinking you're some kind of floozy.
Oh yeah, she can come in his room.
When she tries to ask him, where he's been, food, and he's like, people might get the wrong idea about you, sister.
Another one of my favorite quotes, and I can't remember word for word, but it was it's when he's like talking to her and he's like, I get to be alone. And do you
I
have
to
it?
sleep in a bed by myself all of my life. It's fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Cook soup for you kids. It's the best. It's fantastic.
So you've never wrestled me? Come on. No. Don't be crazy.
Don't you want a little taste of the glory? See what it tastes like. No.
If I ever get 200 pesos. The look he gives me was like the nastiest smile I've ever seen in my life.
His teeth.
And-
oh my gosh, they hurt my soul
And
just
dude,
looking
I
at
love
them.
what they spend their money on. They go out for
The
like a
white
day.
boots.
He gets his hair nice and permed. He gets these ridiculous white boots. Probably girl shoes.
They get the
It rem-
elote.
I love it.
Bubblegum. Bubblegum. Bubblegum.
The song they played. Oh my
Cameron
god.
had a couple of those songs downloaded and was listening to them quite a few times. It's a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It is really funny.
I love it. Oh, what did you say? So anyway, let's get down to the nitty gritty. Who is
Who is this?
this Encarnacion?
You gotta be kidding me. Everything you just said is my favorite thing to do every day.
That one's a great one. I quote that all the time. When you find a friend
Yes.
or you tell your wife, you're like, oh, everything you just said is literally my favorite thing to do. That's so funny. I'm not listening to you. You're crazy. Another physical humor moment where he's like appears to be out in the wilderness for forever, right? And he's like surviving off of cactus juice and everything. And then he like made this crude stick shelter, not sheltering him at all from
And
the
he was
sun.
like, I was in the
How did you find me?
Oh,
I
no,
spotted you from the village.
His little
He's just like a stone's throw from where he...
Well, and going back to the physical humor, just like all their training, like I don't.
Oh my gosh, their training montage. I don't know how that
He
prepared them
smears
to be better fighters. He smears poop on his face.
and then shoots him
Makes
with
him
an
walk
about
arrow.
up
pink
blindly
eye.
and shoots him in an arrow.
And I love it. He's like,
yeah.
Or
And then,
throws
and
a
then he
beehive.
takes the beehive, the wasp hive or whatever, the nest, the hornet's nest, and then he just goes into a ring with a giant bowl and gets thrown into the
Surprisingly,
air.
though, when they
So
had
funny.
their race, Jack Black was very fast. Like they were both like keeping up with each other. I was like, he's a chunky dude.
He was booking it for sure.
I love the
Oh my
part
gosh.
where he's trying to impress Encarnacion by taking his shirt off to fight those dudes, and it turned out to be a different group of people. He gets knocked out, and then the next day he has a black eye, and he's talking to Steven. He's like, "Where were you last night? What took you so long?" It's no use.
Well,
Another great
when he rips
scene
the guy's
of
shirt
commu-
too. It's just- that poor guy. It's just-
Pulls his jacket.
You see
I
these
love
moves?
to.
You mess with the
Another
wrong
great
man,
scene
it's
at the very beginning when he has to go and bless the sister. One,
Oh my
on his way back, he like looks to the road or whatever, and then he
And
doesn't look where he's
flies
going and flies off the bike. It looks like a very painful
Well,
landing.
that motor bike thing he has is amazing. And how he always like
Yes.
trying to burn out.
Just the
Like,
two
that's
fingers.
not-
His errand that he had to go do. I love when he gets there and he thinks that the guy is dead, and so he puts
the
money on his
coins.
eyes. He puts coins on his eyes, and then he wakes up and then he looks over at him.
Well, his speech though, he's like, "This man lived a good life. He had a beautiful woman, a lush garden, and a fine collection of Russian nesting dolls. May he rest in peace." He's just looking around the room.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
It's so great.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. It sucks to be me right now. How come? How come you think? Hey, I used to really like Ramses. I wanted to become him, but it turns out he's a real douche.
I'm sick of hearing about your stupid orphans.
I thought you hated orphans. No, I don't
Not
anymore.
anymore.
Hate them anymore.
I like them.
And they need a hero. Okay. Oh my gosh.
So,
Oh my gosh.
when he's giving the orphans a tour, and he's like, "And that is a crazy lady," and you hear her in the background.
That's crazy.
Now you got a little taste of what I do. It's pretty dang exciting, huh?
Oh my gosh, dude.
Over there's a chipmunk nest.
Those guys were a couple of wussies, huh?
But I couldn't let anyone see my face, Steven. Come on.
I love it. They scalped my hairs. Okay, I look hideous. You gave him permission to hurt me like this? But I couldn't have anybody see my face, David. Come on. he like treats his skeleton terrible. Like he's always like oh my gosh. Lets him get abused as the perfect
little
way to
rag
say it.
doll.
That's so funny.
A little whipping boy.
Oh man, you're the best. Oh yeah, just every time.
Did you not tell him these were the large jeeps?
Did you not tell them that they were the large jeeps? I was trying to.
I don't know. Hey, let go of my blouse. I don't know if we said that one. We might have said.
It's like
my
the
blouse.
ugliest.
Like
My
a bunch of
blouse.
curls. It's got all the frills on it, dude.
Well, I also love the
Oh,
cutscenes where it's like pulling all the supplies to make his costume, and then
Yeah, at the
somehow
beginning, the
Esqueleto is a seamstress.
Oh my gosh, how did you get up here so fast? Shh, secret tunnels. Oh my god.
And that music that plays every time she's on the screen. Ba, 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 ba.
Huh? What? Oh my gosh.
Some say
So
wrestlers
funny.
make bad lovers, that they only save themselves for the ring.
Oh, I can't even with this movie, guys. So many physical humor. Oh my gosh. I can't even. I'm dying here.
All right. So, do we recommend this
Okay.
movie? I think that's a hard yes.
Oh, this is a hard yes. Heck yes. I recommend Nacho Libre. This movie's so
Watch it with
funny.
your kids.
Highly recommend.
Highly recommend it. It's
It's the
fantastic.
best.
It's fantastic.
Oh my gosh. Guys.
So what
this
you
is
are
so
saying to
fun
me,
time.
if I can climb this mountain and eat the eagle egg, my wolves will become the best in the world. Definitely. High five.
High five. Yes. I can't
Don't
even right
act
now.
like lies. He's a water gypsy.
They didn't give me any nutrients. Oh my gosh.
You give me no nutrients.
Oh my
Summon
gosh,
your
I can't.
eagle powers. What do you think I'm trying to do? It just goes scene after scene of them getting destroyed.
Oh,
Oh my word, I can't even with this movie. The kids, they really like you. They think you're at the base. Oh my gosh, I love it. This movie, everybody watch it. Oh my gosh, I can't breathe.
Yes.
Whew. Drew, we end every podcast by sharing movies that we've seen lately and movies that we're looking forward to watching. What movies have you seen lately?
Lately, I watched the Wonder Woman movie in the theater because Utah had some.
The new one, 1984.
Mm-hmm. It was okay.
What'd you think?
It was all right, but I don't know. It was kind of weird with the cheetah lady. And
How about wishing to become a stone? Like why? What? Like it's
it was
almost
weird.
the like I wish to be a genie, but instead it's like
Well, I
I wish
was
to
like,
become a rock. It's
What's
like,
Mando doing in here?
Oh my gosh!
I am looking forward to the new Ghostbusters movie, and
Oh,
I
yeah?
have no expectations for the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, so hopefully it'll just be really good because
Quick question: did you watch the original, the 2-hour version
when it
before the
came out,
Snyder cut? Did
yes,
you watch
and I
Justice League?
honestly don't remember it. So
Yeah.
honestly,
Yeah.
like
Very
here's
forgettable.
Marvel and here's DC. Notice you can't see my hand because it's not in the picture. Let me shift.
Oh,
The Marvel Universe
yeah.
did an amazing job with their movies, and I feel
For sure.
like this is probably going to be a good movie, but it's just not up to par with the Avengers for me. So
For sure.
I like Marvel more.
That's a reasonable expectation to take to a film. One that you've seen that you can't remember anything about.
Yes, indeed.
You're gonna watch it with fresh eyes.
Indubitably.
Oh my gosh!
I feel like there's another movie I'm looking forward to. I just can't remember what it was.
007?
Sure. That's not the one. I'll ponder the matter.
Yeah, dude, I'm just so excited for movies to be getting
Yes.
back up to speed, dude. Get some
Any
more
movie,
movies.
any movie
Yes.
will do at
Yeah.
this point.
Well, and even just something exciting that doesn't have, I don't know, just anything about it. Just escapism. I want another Mission
would
Impossible movie. I want a superhero movie.
I would love some more original movies. Like I'm
Yes.
tired of remakes.
Oh, amen. Amen. Oh, yes. Well, it's funny that you mentioned Ghostbusters because I was like, I mean, hardcore rebate. But again,
Yeah.
they are brandishing it as something entirely new. And I get that you need to use IP these days to feel safe, so studios will give you the money. And honestly, I know that sounds cheap.
IP?
Like it is. Yeah, IP.
Do you know, Ty, when you said
intellectual
brandishing you made it sound like you said branding shiz.
brandishing. Yeah, you almost got me there. No, brandishing or branding.
Well, you said brandish.
a-
Did you hear?
Brandish?
No, you said they are brandish.
Brandy 8.
Brand.
No, I'm saying
Brandishing.
No, I'm just saying.
Who's
That's,
Brandy?
I
are
don't
you
know
listening
I'm
to what you're saying?
anymore.
Is what I'm saying because you're saying
I'm
they
just
are
kidding, Jordan.
brandishing.
I get you.
Brandishing. Brandishing is a word.
I know,
right?
but
It
you
means
said
like
they are
you-
brandishing. Think about what I'm saying. Listen to it.
Brandishing.
Yeah.
Brandy.
But hear what it sounds.
I
Yeah.
get it.
Okay.
Hey, wash it.
But
okay?
that's literally what they're doing
Wash
is
it.
they're brandishing. They're essentially polishing a turd. It's just, it's like already done.
No, but again, if you can take a property and
Hey,
like
This
good example.
Ghostbusters will be better than the stupid feminist one. I said what I said.
You know what? I actually enjoyed that one. I know it sounds horrible.
Oh,
but
Jordan,
I laughed.
No, that
I'm
was
not gonna lie.
unwatchable.
I didn't watch it. I was
hated
like, this is stupid.
The only good
Why-
part
is.
in that movie was Chris
Why do we have to
Hemsworth.
appease?
The only funny part was when Melissa McCarthy appeared to really get hurt on set. That was when I laughed, and I feel bad for laughing.
I didn't laugh at that. That was dumb. I
It is dumb, but that's the only scene that made me laugh. And then watching Chris Hemsworth steal the show in the 3
yes,
minutes that he was in the film.
that was my
I'm
favorite
like,
part.
wow.
And him dancing at the end, so funny.
And the joke is literally that they're objectifying him, and I'm like, this doesn't fly the other way. Anyway, whatever. It's funny that you mentioned that, Drew, because I have a whole video essay I need to work on. I need to formulate my thoughts, but basically, I just watched Toy Story 4. This is actually movies that I watched recently. And Bo Peep is such a to Woody. I don't know why. Like, she's so mean
Yeah.
to him. And
In
then
that
she goes to,
movie?
like, this club. Yes, the Toy Story. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I love Toy Story 1 through 3. They're some of my favorite movies of all time. It's a perfect trilogy. And 4 was like such a weird tease where it's like, hey, you know that story that you thought was perfectly wrapped up? Well, hey, here's a whole new avenue we haven't explored, except it's literally the
Right.
same thing.
They
Just
could have
like
ended on
a new
3.
toy that
It
needs to
was
discover
great.
themselves.
They should have.
But here's the thing. I got 2 really gross feelings from it. One, I got the feeling that they were themselves out to children. Like, Bo Peep literally mentions the thing where she's like, no, like Woody's like, I got to get back to my owner. And she's like, I just play with whatever kids I want to, or, you know, it's great. And like, sometimes kids are really rough. And I'm like, is this like, like, is this a seedy underbelly where toys are just, it made me feel really uncomfortable. Secondly, they rode around in a skunk was very not charming. Thirdly, the way she treated Woody, and I figured this out, it bothered me because at first I was like, maybe I am a sexist. I was internalizing my own misogyny and my hatred toward women. I can't believe I married one, right? But so I was internalizing my own hatred for women because I was like, why do I dislike Bo Peep so much when I had no problem with her before? I mean, granted, she was only in
She
the movie.
does
And I was
carry
like,
around her own all the time.
okay, so mind you, I love Jessie. I think Jessie's a great character. She's well fledged out. She's
I cannot
fleshed out.
stand Joan Cusack's voice.
Yeah, her voice, like the whole yeehaw, like super, you know, hillbilly kind of thing. I'm still not even bothered by it. I actually really like Jessie's character, and I love her romance with Buzz. What really, really upset me was I was like, I figured it out. A good leader will lift everybody else up. A bad leader just craps everybody down and becomes the top. See, this is what happened. Bo Peep, rather than being a leader like Buzz Lightyear and Woody and the other films where they uplift every other toy and they help them and inspire them, her approach is like, let me just debase these people, call them idiots, call them stupid, and bring
How
them
did we
down.
get to talking
so now,
about Toy
rather
Story
than being a leader that
leadership?
people look up to, just bring everybody down to a crummy level. And that's what I figured out what it was. Anyway, that was a long rant.
Yeah.
I just had to get that out,
No,
though.
you're good. All right.
That's what the difference is. So I actually really like. So again, Kill Bill, favorite movie. Like, it's actually one of my top 10 films of all time. Uma Thurman, no problem with the female lead. Just saying, and no problem with
we need to wrap
feminism.
this up,
No
Ty.
problem. So just had to get that off my chest,
Clearly.
and I figured it out. Bo Peep, you messed it up. You were so insulting, and you should apologize to my favorite character growing up as a kid. Woody the cowboy doll. Everybody, leave us a review. 5 stars, please. Leave us a comment. Share us on your social media pages and text us to your friends and family. Leave us an email, futuromovies@gmail.com, if we upset you with our political talk, which we know we're apt to do. And please leave us a comment and tell us a movie that you'd like us to review, or if we got something wrong about one of your movies, one of the movies that we reviewed already. Send all your hate mail to Jordan and target him, please. We'd like to get him off the pod. Just tell him he's internalizing all this hatred. So, everybody, thanks for sending out. Drew, do you have a social media presence that you want people aware of or people to follow you?
No.
Perfect.
Not at the moment.
Yep, me neither. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to the Futuro Hidden Movie Gems. This is Futuro Hidden Movie Gems signing out. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.
They're the best.